Welcome. Today we are filming the interviews of the cast and crew for Dirty Air. So today I have Cindy with me. Thank you for being here, Cindy.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. And I want to let the audience know a little bit about you. We got to have a little bit of a conversation before the interview. So tell the audience what it is that you do for your career.
Well, I'm a registered nurse by trade. I have done a lot of things as a registered nurse for some time. I volunteer with the Red Cross as a disaster nurse.
Cindy, what you do is absolutely incredible, and I'm so thankful to be here with you. How do you feel that caring for others so selflessly has affected your perspective?
I think as a nurse, and most nurses probably would feel like this, if you've ever worked in an emergency room or somewhere where there's catastrophic injury, you realize it really helps keep life in perspective. Everything you think that's going on during and not minimizing life, but also keeping it in perspective. You know, what does it mean when, you need all new tires on your car and you don't have the money for it and it's just a big catastrophe for you. But then you go to work and you see, people like fighting to breathe, or, life getting snuffed out from under them, and they're close to death and they were just on their way to work this morning, and you think, I've got no problems. And I really love the fact that this movie is going to make sure that people maybe realize that a little bit more. The good in people, and that we all need to be reminded sometimes. And this movie is a great way to possibly do that, I'm hoping.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And from my understanding, your screen time was limited, but you did help with production. And if you could tell me a little bit about how you made production come to life a little bit more with your background. We had a scene where the race car driver is critically injured, and my background with trauma, and saw him, and his makeup and everything was great, but to be catastrophic, there's a number of things that happen when you're in a catastrophic injury. And you would have leads on, and you would be connected to an EKG machine, and you'd have a cervical collar on because they wouldn't be sure if your neck is broken, or if you're in a rollover accident, and just all kinds of, you definitely have an IV line going. So I was able to help out the paramedics and put some things in place so that it definitely would make it more realistic, I guess. I guess my last question for you is, you've seen now in trauma so many different moments where it's that life and death fighting, and now being a part of a movie like this, I'm curious how you hope to bring the audience to that moment without having to go through the trauma itself. Like, what do you want the audience to see when they see Jon in that moment?
I think, just like I've always told patients and people in the community, they're like, wow, you look really familiar. And I would tell them, I really hope I don't. Because, I work in the hospital, and when you're seeing me, it's never, it's always not always a great thing to be in the critical care unit, or your loved one is in the critical care unit. So I really hope I don't look that familiar to you. But, I think that some life experiences in dealing with critical patients, I think most people, fortunately, don't have that knowledge, and they don't get to see what happens when life gets critical. And I do think that many people don't realize that if they're on the wrong path in life, sometimes it takes a critical injury, whether it's themselves, whether it's family members, loved ones, friends. They're sitting in that waiting room, and it hits them that, like, gosh, you know what? I've got my whole life ahead of me. I could change life right now. I could change my path. And I think that that's really important to get maybe out of this movie too. I think that's an innate thing that we all are good. We all do want to help others. And but sometimes we have to step out of our box and recognize, there's something I could do to even make a change in someone else's life, not just myself. And I think that's huge, so.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Hopefully it doesn't take a trauma to have that moment where you realize, yeah, it's God that's the most important. It's family, it's friends, and being there for each other.
I think the movie will show that, though. I really do, because it's so realistic and it's just so much commotion and going on that it's so realistic you will feel like you're just in the thick of it with them. And so I think that everyone fortunately won't have the real thing going on, but the movie will definitely make a big difference, I think.
Thank you so much for your time, Cindy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If you want to hear more about Cindy and the rest of the cast and crew, go to dirtyairmovie.com. And of course, follow us. We have Twitter, we have Instagram, Facebook, and last but not least, go to Kickstarter, fund us, be a part of our project and what we're doing to make sure that you can be a part of this spiritual battle with us. Thank you.